Black and gold fans, college football fans, welcome in or welcome back to the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog, where we examine, discuss, honor, and celebrate all things college football across the entire college football landscape, but with a very special emphasis on our beloved black and gold squads of the Missouri Tigers and the Iowa Hawkeyes. Welcome, guys. This is my instant reaction and recap to Iowa's big, huge 13-10 win yesterday over Minnesota in the Twin Cities. In doing so, Iowa retains the Floyd of Rosedale Trophy. The Divine Swine stays in Iowa City, and Iowa brings home, you know what? The bacon. What a great game. It's great to be here with you guys. I'm your usual host, Blair Parks. Now, even though it is late Sunday morning, I know I'm a little bit behind, but I'm still going to call this a quote-unquote instant reaction and recap. I was not able to get into the studio last night after the game, aka my basement, because I had a house full of children. Both my son and my daughter had a couple of friends over for a sleepover, and I was not going to be able to have a chance to find some quiet, a little bit of privacy, but it's all good. And I think it's better that I've had a little bit of time to marinate on this big victory by Iowa, let it fully set in and kind of start to exit, because at the end of the game, I was so excited and giddy. I think I would have been a stuttering Stanley, from The Sixth Sense. So yesterday, 13-10, the final score. With that victory, Iowa improves to 7-4 overall, 5-3 in Big Ten Conference play. Minnesota, they fall to 7-4 also overall, but 4-4 in Big Ten Conference play. And I'm going to say this. If you've watched my instant reaction and recaps before, you know I like to kind of start off just with initial thoughts. So I'm going to say this before I dissect this game, both from an Iowa and a Minnesota perspective, is Iowa fans, Black and Gold Nation, after yesterday's victory, we can start to get pretty excited, all right? And I'm definitely going to break that down here in a little bit. I'm going to go into depth with what this means for the Big Ten West. If you recall, coming into yesterday's kickoff, there were 4 teams still in play to hoist the Big Ten West trophy. But at the end of the day, it really comes down to 2 teams are kind of left standing, and our Iowa Hawkeyes guys have separated from the field. They're leading the pack down the home stretch, sprinting to the finish line. It really, now Iowa is in the proverbial driver's seat. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to break it down, what this means for the entire Big Ten West. And also, I've got a couple of comments about the Big Ten Conference, our conference in general. But before I say more, please, guys, if you're your first time with me, subscribe, like, share, comment, click the button. This is a safe haven for all college football fans from coast to coast and everywhere in between. You don't have to be a black and gold fan to enjoy or be a part of the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. It's okay. I forgive you, because after all, nobody's perfect. But this is a safe haven, a gathering place for all college football fanatics, and I definitely want to hear from you. I always ask for, encourage, and welcome any comments. So please, if you want to respond to something that I say or maybe didn't say, comment. I will respond to each and every one of you individually. So, and you guys are the ones who drive these episodes, so please comment, like, share, subscribe. Let's keep a good thing going. Let's keep the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog trending in the right direction, and let's keep momentum on our side and gather more college football fans just like you. So let me go ahead, before I break down the good and the bad from this game, what really impressed me, maybe what I was disappointed with. I'm going to throw you guys some numbers, okay? So I'm going to start off high to low. Let's go ahead and start off with this 221. That is the passing yards for Spencer Petras yesterday. One of his, if not his best performance this entire season. More on that here in a little bit. Next is 63. That is Spencer Petras's completion percentage yesterday, 63%, which isn't a world beater type number, but that is much better than what we saw from Spencer the first half of the season. And that's really the key. Is this Iowa offense, guys, is it still laughable? Is it still, does it still have a long way to go? Is it a major fixer-upper? I think maybe even Chip and Joanna Gaines would have their work cut out for the Iowa offense. But down the stretch, during this pivotal 4-game winning streak, the Iowa offense has been exactly what they need to be because of the strength that defense and special teams, they've been average. And that's what they need to do. That's all we ask for. That's it. So 63, the completion percentage for Spencer Petras yesterday. 14 represents the number, the winning streak currently of Iowa in November games. They've won 14 straight games in the month of November, dating back to 2019. That, folks, is how you get it done. That's how you seal the deal and close the door. That is what puts you in position to play for the big prizes, just like they will be potentially this season. So 14 straight victories in the month of November. Next number is 8. And 8 represents, here we are, guys. You know, I'll speak more about the Iowa defense in a little bit. And it was a rough day overall. But of the 11 games we've played, guys, 8 of those 11 games have seen the opponent score 10 points or less. That is absolutely fantastic. A great stat proving just how good this Iowa defense is. One of the best defenses in the nation and one of the best kept secrets. I don't care who you're playing. 8 out of 11 teams have scored 10 points or less. No other team, even close, can say that in any conference. And really, it could easily be 9 out of 11. Because remember, the very last play of the game against Northwestern got in the end zone for a garbage touchdown, giving them 13 points. So 8 out of 11. Next game, there's also another 8. 8 represents how many straight games Iowa has now defeated Minnesota for the Floyd of Rosedale Trophy, the longest such winning streak in the history of this rivalry for either team. So congrats. That is how you basically keep a rival at bay. And it's something to say that nobody in the Minnesota locker room, guys, whether player or coach, has probably ever put a finger or a hand on the Floyd of Rosedale Trophy. That's something to think about. Next is 6. And you know me, guys. I've said this before. I make no quarrels. I don't keep anything a secret from you guys, the college football universe and fan. I am absolutely a fan and a big-time proponent of the bald-headed beauty, PJ Fleck, the head coach of Minnesota. But 6, he is now all-time 0-6 against Iowa and Coach Kirk Ferentz. PJ has definitely checked off a lot of boxes in the Twin Cities since taking over, but still hasn't figured out Iowa quite yet. Next little bit of numbers I want to share with you is 2. That was the amount of turnovers that Minnesota had that Iowa forced in the fourth quarter, which really was the turning point of this game. So 2 turnovers, that really came down to it. And the last number I want to share with you is a couple of zeros. This really is what kind of, to me, was also the deciding factor. There's actually 2 zeros here. 0, one of them is how many turnovers Iowa had. Donut, none. And the other 0 is the number of penalties. So you talk about the cleanest kind of game you could have in a huge must-win situation. Guys, this might have been the biggest Floyd of Rosedale game ever, potentially, in the history of the Kirk Ferentz era with what was on the line. So 0 turnovers, 0 penalties for Iowa. And I think actually both teams had 0 penalties. So what a great, clean played game. That really reflects good coaching and good discipline. So those are some numbers I wanted to share with you guys. So let's go ahead now. Let me kind of go in depth with you about some good and bad things that I saw, guys. And I'm going to start off right out of the gate with Minnesota. I mean, and watching this game yesterday, Golden Gopher fans, I'm not trying to be disrespectful or put salt in the open wound, because I'll remind you guys, maybe you don't know, you're unaware, this is your first time watching the channel. Preseason, I picked Minnesota to win the Big Ten West. I thought you guys had the advantage because of the schedule and also the amount of veteran players you had back. You guys have the most 6-year players back on roster. I thought that was going to be the overall deciding factor, and plus having Mo Ibrahim, your stud running back there, I thought Minnesota would actually have no problem wrapping up this division. And watching things yesterday, it really left me wondering and scratching my head for Minnesota this season, maybe what could have been. All right, Minnesota definitely maybe, in Minnesota fans, I'd love to hear from you. So please subscribe, comment, let me know what you think. That I absolutely think that at full health, at full capacity, and Minnesota has had some big time unfortunate injuries all season long. But I think at full strength, guys, this Minnesota team absolutely would have been the best team in the division. So it really, yesterday, I was thinking to myself, what could have been? I mean, Minnesota loses their best wide receiver, Chris Ottman-Bell, early in the season. Tanner Morgan, who missed yesterday's game, their highly experienced stud quarterback, did not play yesterday. He's missed a couple of games in and out of the lineup. And Mo Ibrahim missed 1 game against Purdue, which I'm thinking to myself, guys, watching yesterday's game, how the hell did that happen? How did Purdue come into the Twin Cities and out-physical Minnesota? Yep, it's because of that. Mo Ibrahim did not play in that game. So Minnesota really was that season of what could have been. I mean, they still have 1 game left. They travel to Madtown, to Madison next week in the annual battle for Paul Bunyan's axe. And I think it's going to be an awesome game. But just watching these two teams, guys, I'm not giving you my official pick, but I, right now, absolutely like and favor Minnesota going there and winning because of what I saw. It's called winning. Duh. But it really made me think, man, I just would have loved to see this Minnesota team, you know, at full strength at some point this season. I think they absolutely would have captured the Big Ten West crown. And I'm going to go right to running back that I just mentioned, Mo Ibrahim. I mean, guys, what a stud. And you look up and down the Big Ten, we are littered with great, actually the best running backs in the nation. We have Chase Brown at Illinois, who leads all of FBS in total rushing yards. We have running back Blake Corum at Michigan, who absolutely is on the Heisman Trophy shortlist. But hopefully he's not too injured or banged up. Huge game next week, you know, it's the game. I don't need to say anything more about that. But he did leave at the end of the first quarter yesterday with an apparent knee injury, so hopefully he comes back for that game. And then you have Mo Ibrahim, guys. And when I watch these running backs, they're all so vital and pivotal to what their teams want to do. They really tailor the offenses around them. And Blake Corum probably is the most well-rounded running back of those three, with his mix of speed, athleticism, power, also his view, right, as far as the shiftiness and just how they view the field. And Chase Brown is right there too. But guys, hands down, the best running back when you look at your prototypical running back, both at this level and the next level in the NFL, it's absolutely Mo Ibrahim. I mean, his vision is unparalleled to anybody. Just how this individual, this cat, can just reverse it on the drop of a dime, and just how he runs through you and over you. I mean, he is the most powerful running back, and just when I watch him, especially against the numbers he put up yesterday against one of the best defenses in the nation in Iowa, they knew what was coming, that they were going to just, run him down their throats the entire afternoon, and they had no answer for him. He absolutely, to me, is the best running back in the Big Ten, the guy that I would want to draft over a Blake Corum or a Chase Brown because of the power and the vision. And the guy is like the Energizer Bunny. I almost said Duracell there. He just keeps going and going and going. And yesterday, here's the numbers. 39 carries. I mean, that is half a season for some running backs. 39 carries for 263 yards with 1 touchdown and a long of 54. I mean, guys, Iowa had no answer for him. But what they were able to do is they limited the damage. Yes, he had that 54-yard long run, but they weren't giving up these big plays through the entire game to him. They really kind of corralled him and basically did the best that they can just to contain him. Hey, we're not going to let him run for 30 yards a clip. We're going to make him work for it. And absolutely he worked. And keeping him out of the end zone, giving him just that 1 touchdown. So when it came down to it, the Iowa defense did the usual. We hear this time and time again, the bend but don't break. But I'm telling you guys, I am so overly impressed with Mo Ibrahim. And best of luck to him next week and the next level in the NFL. You're going to hear about this guy, folks. It's just a shame what happened to him last year. I mean, he got hurt in the opening game of the year with, I believe it was an Achilles issue, I believe. So I would have loved to seen him for another year. I mean, at full strength. That would have been great. So kudos to you. And also the Minnesota offensive line guys. I mean, wow. You talk about, this is the kind of game I loved. If you're a fan of offense, then you didn't like watching yesterday's game. But I love this. It's your typical Big Ten game in mid-November, 2 teams fighting in a phone booth in a rock fight. I loved it. And it came down to who made the least amount of mistakes. And like I said, that happened to be Iowa. That's what it came down to. So Mo Ibrahim, what a game. You're a stud. And yeah, I would have just loved to see Minnesota full strength this season, guys. And it's really a shame because I'm all about PJ Fleck. You guys know this. But Iowa offensively, on the other side of it, I mean, Spencer Petras, guys, I mean, say what you want to about him. And I already said, Iowa's offense is still laughable. It's still the running joke this season. But have they not looked so much better during this 4-game winning streak? They have. Okay? And I still think, and I've been saying this all season, and I think even you Iowa fans who've been a little stubborn, there's no way you can't disagree with me, is since they made some changes along the offensive line, guys, that has been the turning point. Not Spencer Petras, not offensive coordinator Brian Ferentz, which, yes, I do think there needs to be a change. I'm saying that. He needs to be ousted. I think we need to hire somebody else. But the main problematic area this season was the offensive line. And this 4-game winning streak proves that. All right? Yesterday, against a very aggressive Minnesota defense, also one of the best defenses in the nation. I think both of these defenses are top 5 coming into the game. The Iowa O-line only gave up 1 sack on the day and 1 tackle for loss by the O-line. All right? And I'm going to talk about that sack here in a little bit. That's something I didn't like, but I'll get to that here. So ever since they shifted some players along that offensive line, guys, it's been night and day. All right? Spencer Petras has been more effective. He's had better windows, passing lanes, and more time to go through his progressions. And he needs that being a statue, not being a mobile quarterback, okay? So I don't want to hear anything more from Iowa fans about, oh, it's Spencer Petras, it's the quarterback play, it's the offensive coordinator, or even the head coach himself. There is some truth to that. But the O-line was the biggest problem all year, and it looks like now they are making progress. Absolutely. Okay? And I'm going to say this too, that this was one of, if not the best game ever for Spencer Petras in his Iowa career, guys. I mean, the ball was coming out crisp, on target, made good decisions. I mean, and it's been so much better the last 4 weeks. I mean, is he setting the world on fire? No, he's not. But for all of you who were chanting and begging for a quarterback change, oh, get Alex Padilla in there. Some of us, but this guy right here has said from the beginning, from week 1 against South Dakota State, that Spencer Petras gives us the best chance to win. He is our best and only option at quarterback. And I think right now, after the last 4 weeks, and here we are with a chance to win the Big Ten West Division, I don't think anybody right now can question that. He is the only option we have. And quite frankly, the last 4 weeks, he's deserved a little bit of patience and a little bit of, okay, let's back off. You definitely look better. So Iowa fans, see, I'm not afraid to call out my own. All right, I'm not a Homer Simpson, guys. All right, you're seeing that. That all you Iowa fans who were on the fire, Spencer Petras boat, whatever you want to call it, get off of it. He absolutely deserves our respect and more time. So I don't want to hear that from anybody else. Alex Padilla, yes, is way more mobile, but he would not be in this position, guys. He is not going to come in and win the last 4 games in a row and put us in this position to win the division again. It's not going to happen. So lay off Spencer Petras, guys. But yeah, he does need to get better, okay? But they're being exactly what they need to be, average. Don't turn the ball over. Don't put your defense in bad situations, and just cash in on those opportunities that you're given, and that is what they've been doing, all right? So Spencer, and I mean, late in the game, and I'll get to this in a little bit. But I saw one of the best throws that he has ever made in a Hawkeye uniform. The Iowa defense, guys, they do what they do. Giving up 263 yards rushing, very un-Iowa-like, but they were facing the man-child, a man among men. What is it? A demigod among mortals in Mo Ibrahim. But when it came down to it, they did what they needed to do. Keep them out of the end zone and forced a couple turnovers. And that's what it came down to. The Iowa defense forced 2 turnovers inside of Iowa territory in the 4th quarter, both by my guy, preseason All-American, Iowa linebacker, Captain Jack Campbell. We love Captain Jack. Savvy. 2 big turnovers, including the interception off of a chip drill with just about 2 minutes left in the game, which set up Iowa to get in position for the game-winning field goal. So great job, defense. You do what you do. Giving up 10 points or less again. What more can you say? And I'm going to say more about this during my instant reaction to the Nebraska game later this week, and I've got some announcements to say about that. As I said earlier this season, preseason, guys, during the Iowa season preview, that this could have been potentially Kirk Ferentz's and DC Phil Parker's best defense ever in Iowa City that they've had under Coach Kirk Ferentz and DC at Iowa, DC Phil Parker. And guys, I think they are the best defense they've ever had. They don't have their turnover numbers this year, especially compared to last year, but I think this is the best defense we've seen under the Kirk Ferentz era, guys. I think it is. And I think the numbers back that up. But great job, defense. Iowa special teams, they're special like always. Walk-on freshman kicker Drew Stevens, not 1 but 2 for 2 kicking field goals in those conditions. And guys, that's kind of why I'm dawned in my deep winter gear today. As a salute to all of those Brave fans, both Golden Gopher fans and Hawkeye fans, who braved the elements yesterday, a 3 o'clock kickoff. I mean, at kickoff time, air temperature in the low teens. I mean, great for you. You're an inspiration for us all. So I did this for you. And also, here in the Show Me State, it's a little bit chilly this morning. So it's great to see that kind of enthusiasm, especially for the home team, that both teams knew what this game meant. And they came out to support their teams. I love seeing that. So kudos to you, Golden Gopher fans, Hawkeye fans who were in attendance. But 2 for 2 in those conditions was Drew Stevens kicking field goals. Tory Taylor, the Iowa MVP to me, without a doubt, without zero hesitation. My guy, the punter from down under, showed up and just continued to ball out, do what he does. His legacy continues. His Heisman Trophy candidacy continues. Hopefully he gets on the ballot, but his numbers yesterday, Tory Taylor, 5 punts, averaged 42 yards per punt with a long of 56 in those conditions, guys. 4 of those 5 inside the 20, and I believe 2 of those were inside the 10, because after all, punting is winning. My brother-in-law, Zach, that's for you. So Tory Taylor, the special teams, great job. Do what you do. I mean, and that's really what we've come to expect out of Iowa. We don't even really need to even point that out, because you know what you're going to get defensively and from the special teams. They're going to execute at the highest levels, guys. So what a great game. I mean, especially when it came down to the scenario and situation. And this is what's going to kind of go into what this means for the Big Ten West and the Big Ten in general. But before that, I said I would say this. When Captain Jack Campbell got that interception with just under 2 minutes to go, I thought he took it back for a score, but apparently he did step out of bounds during the return. Now, that's something when that happens, via instant replay, at that point it was 10-10. And I remember guys got out to a 10-0 lead early in the first quarter. That here it is. When you see that be wiped away, it really could take all of the wind out of your sails from an offense that struggled to find a lot of headway during the day. But what did they do? How did the Iowa offense respond? But Spencer Petras threw one of the best passes of his entire Iowa career on the very next play, a seam route right down the middle of the field. A seam route right down the middle of the field to tight end Luke Lachey, which put them in the Minnesota red zone. So just a beautiful response to that potential downer play, waving off that touchdown return, and a beautifully thrown pitch and catch. Great catch by Luke Lachey as well. I mean, Spencer Petras, guys, has been big time down the stretch. And once again, without him, none of this would be possible, Iowa fans. That's the truth. And also about the tight ends, I mean, Sam Laporta, I mean, wow, what a game he was on track to have. And that's the one thing I forgot to mention, that in the first quarter, Sam Laporta had 4 receptions for 95 yards. I mean, and the entire game, Minnesota had issues covering Iowa's tight ends. Luke Lachey ended up catching 5 balls as well. But late in the first quarter, after it looked like he had a little ankle injury, got rolled up during a tackle, Sam Laporta left the game and did not return the rest of the game. But he did stay on the sideline with his helmet on. He was walking around, so hopefully that injury isn't too much, because dare I say, if Iowa does beat Nebraska on Black Friday and get to the Big Ten title game against either Ohio State or Michigan, Iowa's going to need his services, okay? So that was big. But so this is what it means, guys. And this is why this is such a big win, maybe the biggest win in the Kirk Ferentz era in this annual rivalry game, is because of the 4 teams that came into yesterday's action, 4 teams in the Big Ten West were alive for the trophy, and Minnesota and Iowa were 2 of the 4, but both of them needed something to happen. They both needed Illinois to lose, and they did. Illinois lost in heartbreaking fashion at Michigan. So both Minnesota and Iowa needed them to lose, and they both knew that before they kicked off at 3 o'clock. So you know that absolutely had to jazz up and fire up both teams even more and the fan bases. So to see Iowa come out on top in this kind of a game on the road on senior day, overly impressive. I mean, it means so much what we saw yesterday. Hands down, their biggest win of the year. I mean, their best win is over Wisconsin because of what that means to the usual outcome of the West, when quite frankly, normally the Big Ten West goes through Madison, and it does. But so big time win, and this is what it means now, all right? So here's a scenario. 2 teams now in the Big Ten West have separated themselves who still have the best chance to win the division. Iowa absolutely has the easiest path. All they have to do now is defeat Nebraska on Black Friday in Iowa City, a game which I will be in attendance. We're having Thanksgiving at my brother and sister-in-law's house. My son will be there with me, my brother. We're not going to miss the chance to see Iowa potentially clinch and get back to Indy. So they win and they're in. The other team that's still in the running, a little bit behind Iowa, is Purdue. What Purdue needs to have happen is they need to have Iowa lose, and then they have to go on the road to Bloomington and beat Indiana in this year's edition of the game for the old Oaken Bucket. And Indiana has had an awful year, but a big win for Tom Allen yesterday, down 17 points in East Lansing against Michigan State, and they end up winning in double overtime, so they showed some signs of life. So maybe that might not be such a layup game for Purdue now in Bloomington next week. So that's what has to happen. And when it comes down to it, guys, I highly, highly expect and anticipate Iowa should and is going to win. That's not my official pick. I need to see the official injury reports. But this Nebraska team, guys, is really struggling down the stretch. I mean, they absolutely gave one away yesterday to Wisconsin. It looked like they were going to get a big-time morale-boosting victory. Now they have 8 losses on the season. They're not going bowling. They're still looking for their next head coach. And Casey Thompson did play yesterday, guys. And if he's not on the field, this Nebraska team, whether it's Logan Smothers or Purdy, the other quarterback in Nebraska, against this Iowa defense, especially at home with what's on the line, they're going to be lucky to score more than 6 points. And Casey Thompson, when he's there, he is effective for Nebraska offensively, but he's also a turnover waiting to happen. He's going to give the ball away a couple times, all right? So I expect Iowa should win. Forecasts are looking good. That's always a big-time factor this time of year. Kind of what you would expect, high 30s, low 40s, partly cloudy, some wind, but no blustery conditions or major precip expected yet. So that's where we are in the Big Ten West. Now, overall, and this is why maybe some of you are wondering, hey, why did I get tagged on an Iowa video, right? If you're an Ohio State or a Michigan fan, but we have lots of friends of the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog who have subscribed, who are usual commenters, who support either the Scarlet and Gray or the Maize and Blue, because this is what it means. And I think Iowa has already played those 2 teams. Got embarrassed by both. They played a little bit better against Michigan, but a garbage touchdown by Iowa late made it look closer than what it really was. But this is what I'm kind of getting at. I'm not going to talk about that game yet because Iowa has to take care of business. But after what we saw yesterday, guys, with Tennessee getting absolutely mauled at South Carolina, they're no longer in position to get an at-large berth. They're out, all right? Utah also lost. USC was able to win against UCLA. TCU, walk-off field goal, a 1-point winner. They keep doing what they do. But let's say this happens, guys. Let's say down the stretch here, either TCU or USC lose, whether it's their next week, the last regular season game of the year, or in their conference title games, all right? And the loser of Michigan and Ohio State still looks good in defeat. Maybe they keep it a 10, 13-point victory. Guys, we're going to have two Big Ten teams make the college football playoff for the first time ever. That is going to happen if that's a close game and if either TCU or USC lose. Those are the only two roadblocks as far as having two Big Ten teams in, guys. And also, I'm sorry, Georgia has to also dispatch LSU, which I think they probably will. So if those things happen, guys, USC or TCU lose, LSU lose in the SEC title game, we're going to have two Big Ten teams in. So you're looking at a potential first-round rematch of Ohio State versus Michigan in the CFP. How great would that be for the Big Ten? I mean, that's absolutely a situation that can and I think will happen if one of those two teams trip up and LSU goes down against Georgia. But anyway, definitely want to tune in Tuesday night to my college football playoff instant reaction and recap show, guys. That does it for today's episode. Thank you for being here with me as always. You make this possible. It's a pleasure for me to be here with you and sharing my love and passion for this great game. Please subscribe, like, share, comment. I want to hear from you, black and gold fans, college football fans alike. And it's going to be a busy week for me. Definitely already said Tuesday night, expect a instant reaction and recap to the updated college football playoff rankings. I'm definitely going to have my Week 13 preview and picks episode. It's a short week. We're getting on the road Wednesday for the Thanksgiving holiday. So I'm putting in some overtime this week. And I am planning, or at least going to try to have a very special episode, a Ohio State versus Michigan preview. I can't wait to have that. That's a huge game for our conference. So definitely tune in. So until then, guys, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thanks for being here and your support and time for another episode of the Touchdown Black and Gold Vlog. See you soon. Bye-bye. Go Hawks.